Okie dokie, so let's hop into a little talk on anxiety. So I'm just gonna throw this, the sun looks kind of cool, but I'm just gonna change it, but looks alright. So anxiety. So I wanted to ask this question this morning because I actually saw a reel from Ryan Holiday from a podcast that I actually found. A friend kind of showed it to me or shared it with me, called The Daily Stoic, and Ryan is the host of it. So I saw a reel of his the other day, and I'll throw it after this, as I did with the Jay Shetty reel. And he was talking about a Stoic response to anxiety. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this and share some of the tools because this reminded me of something that can help me, and a tool that I use to kind of help me as someone who has suffered from it before and still does, but I see it in a different light. So Ryan hops into his reel, and he starts off with a quote from Seneca, who's a Stoic philosopher from way back when. So the quote that Seneca says is that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And so basically what this means is that we kind of project out into the future our worry, our stress, and we suffer because of it. Where in actuality, the present moment in reality that's now is most oftentimes there's really no reason to feel that way, and we kind of form it into this mind creation of worry or suffering because of it. So Ryan goes into speaking on we do not borrow suffering, and when he said that, it was this unlock, and it clicked for me. So we do not borrow suffering. We do not suffer before we need to, and we do not suffer in anticipation of things, which is a super common way of thinking, at least that I have personally experienced before. So when he said that, it really just clicked for me and unlocked. Yes, we are. He goes into this stating that yes, we are prepared for things in the future. Yes, we may think of the worst thing that could possibly happen. When ironically, when does that actually happen? Which is an interesting thing. I think we should actually frame it into, what's the worst that can happen? What if we said, what's the best that can happen? So, I used to, when I was growing up, I used to be super afraid of public speaking and giving speeches in class, and really just kind of speaking in general. And I used to remember the nights before, weeks before I would have to give a speech, I would be dreading it. I could not sleep. I was praying that it would go well. I would literally say prayers at night that my speech would go well tomorrow morning, because I'd be the center of attention. Everyone would be looking at me and judging me, right, in my mind, if I messed up, right? So I used to hate it so much, and I'd cause myself all this stress and worry and anxiety from it. And so, come full circle, come now. When I saw this reel and he was saying, we do not borrow suffering, and it really clicked for me because, how I think of it right now is that, a lot of this stress and worry and suffering, anxiety is all kind of created on our own. It is from our own doing. So in times where I feel overwhelmed on certain things, and I think that feeling comes from not believing in my abilities, my capabilities, and not feeling confident in those. I think that's where that feeling of overwhelm comes from. And feeling like I don't have my priorities straight is kind of where my stress comes from. And then anxiety comes from that, if you want to call it that. Even just saying the word sometimes it invokes that feeling, which is ironic. I don't know if any of you feel that, but so what I do nowadays is, whenever I start to feel that, and I'm aware that I'm starting to feel this way, what I super simply do is think to myself, physically where I am right now. Am I physically, this is how I think of it, am I physically hurting right now? It's is my body physically hurting? Because in my mind, or in my head, that's what suffering means to me. If someone was gonna hurt me or force me to then suffer, or I guess cause myself to suffer if I wanted to do it to myself, which I kind of do by training. In running, that's really what makes me suffer, but which actually makes me better because I do that. So I can deal with harder things, real hard things, I kind of do by training. In running, that's really what makes me suffer, but which actually makes me better because I do that. So I can deal with harder things, real hard things, whatever that is. For me, it's like family, friends, not doing okay. But for me, I think to myself, like, physically, am I actually hurting? And 99.9% of the time, right in this present moment, I'm okay. And I'm usually always okay. And I think about that, and it gets me out of my head in thinking, like, okay, I'm not borrowing suffering. I'm not looking out into the future. Right now, in this present moment, physically, my body, I'm doing okay. I look at things as they are right now, and that's what I'm going to deal with. So if there's some big event, project, venture, business deal, whatever it is in the future that I need to work towards, I'm going to think, taking it super dumb it down and think, let's take this one step at a time. One step at a time. One decision the best version of myself would make in this moment to get to that decision. It's not this big thing. I can slowly get after it and get there, and I'm going to confidently do it, and I'm not going to doubt my abilities, and I'm going to tell myself it's going to go well. So that's what's really helped me the most with, if I ever have these kind of feelings, is to think, I'm not borrowing suffering. I'm not suffering in anticipation of things that are happening. And I'm thinking, where am I at right now? Am I physically doing okay? Yes. Then let's get our priorities straight. What are the things we need to do? And let's do them and hold myself accountable to do them. So that has really helped me the most with feelings of anxiety. I hope this provided some kind of value, and you could relate to it in some type of way. If not, that's okay too. But yeah, I just really appreciate you listening into these messages. I'm really enjoying giving these and trying to do them as much as I can. So I hope you guys have the best freaking Friday today. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Love you. Peace.